Manchester United have apparently reached an agreement with Juventus for Jadon Sancho. Ben Chilwell is linked and then not linked. What's happened there? Sterling rumours not rejected. Koné update, Toney update. Loads to go through in a video that will keep you right up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, please smash a like on the video and let's jump into it. So let's kick off with the Sancho news. There's been absolutely tons of it today. Loads of stories coming out regarding Jaden Sancho, regarding a move to Juventus. So let's just jump into who says what and what's the kind of latest regarding that situation. So Dimarzio has said that Juventus will make their first official offer in these hours for the loan of Jaden Sancho, with part of his salary covered by United. United are asking for a high loan fee, however. Then we had Sky confirming it, saying Juventus are expecting to offer a loan deal with a partial payment of Jaden Sancho's salary and a loan fee. Then we had Dimarzio also come out today saying that now Juventus are all about signing Jaden Sancho from Manchester United. Very hot hours. Juventus are betting everything on Jaden Sancho now that Federico Chiesa is joining Liverpool. Then we had Peter Hall, who's a fairly credible source. Not the most credible, though, being totally honest with you. But can be reliable, saying that Manchester United won't allow Jadon Sancho to leave on the cheap. They prefer a permanent deal or a loan with an obligation to buy. However, if a fee can be arranged with a large portion of his wages are covered, then a loan with an option to buy would be entertained. So that's an interesting kind of report there. Then we've had Italian journalists, don't know the credibility, but they're claiming that Juventus want to sign Sancho on loan with a buy obligation, which is good. That's what we've been waiting for, what United are expecting from Juventus. They are working on the Sancho deal until the end. This morning, Juventus upped their offer for the loan. So Juventus, but according to that Italian journalist, Juventus pushing hard for the Sancho deal now, which is good. Fabrice Hawkin, though, is very credible. He's spot on this transfer window regarding the Lenny Yoro situation and the Ugarte situation as well. So a decent source saying that agreement reached between Manchester United and Juventus for Jadon Sancho, loan plus obligation to buy, which is exactly what we were kind of looking for, because the kind of noise has been that obviously Juventus can't afford the full asking price this summer for Jaden Sancho. So if they do want him, United want to loan him, but including that obligation to buy, which is effectively a sale for us, but it just means that we're not going to get the funds until next season. And if that's the deal that's on the table, then that's the deal that's on the table. And I do think United would accept that. That's what they're looking for. They either want a permanent sale or a loan with either a very high fee, all of his wages covered, or an obligation to buy. So it now looks like, according to Fabrice Hawkins, who's a really credible source, that's on the table. I still would like to see a little bit more credibility come out regarding that, though, and there's a few more updates which I'm going to go through. But it does look like a lot of the noise coming out today regarding Sancho is Juventus are pushing really hard for the deal, which is positive, because if we can get that loan with an obligation to buy, then I think the deal will go through. I think United would accept that. And then the other news, so the first one again from another Italian journalist, saying that Juventus are already scheduled the medical test for Jadon Sancho on Friday morning with a hope of completing a deal today or tomorrow. And then the below journalist works for L'Equipe, who's quite credible, again saying that Jadon Sancho to Juventus is a loan plus option to buy agreement reached between both clubs. So that journalist from L'Equipe kind of going against what Fabrice Hawkins was saying, which is an obligation to buy. Then Fabrizio Romano has said that Juventus have proposed a loan plus a buy clause for Jadon Sancho. United are asking for an obligation. Juventus are offering an option to buy. Negotiations are ongoing currently. Thiago Motta is pushing a lot to have Jadon Sancho. Juventus are working hard to get a deal done after selling Chiesa. Active talks ongoing. So Fabrizio Romano kind of confirming that talks are definitely ongoing with Juventus at the moment. It's difficult to kind of it's a case of who do you believe, because I think Fabrice Hawkins has been really good, but obviously Fabrizio Romano is Fabrizio Romano. So it does look like they are in heavy negotiations, which is good because obviously the other situation regarding Sancho was a swap deal involving Sterling. There have been a few updates on Sterling, which I'm going to mention today as well. But I think the kind of front runners were always believed to be Juventus. And it's either a bit of gamesmanship by clubs where maybe United were putting it out there, or where maybe they were entertaining the Sterling kind of situation to kind of, not be left with our pants pulled down if Juventus didn't come back in for the deal, or as a way to force Juventus to kind of come to the table. So these negotiations are ongoing. It's looking likely. It looks likely it might be Juventus. It's just working out the obligation to buy, the cost, the upfront fee, the wages, and those sort of details as well. But let me know what you think about the whole Sancho situation in the comments. So let's go through today's been a weird day in terms of news because we've had loads of stories coming out about players, and then in some cases, which I'll mention in a second, the same journalists have then discredited their own stories that they've come out. So it's been a really weird day. But the next story come out regarding Ivan Toney. So this originally came from The Standard. All right, where they were saying that Manchester United have held initial talks over a late deal for Ivan Toney, but secured a move to Chelsea remains the forward's priority ahead of Friday's transfer deadline. And then Alex Crook come out saying Manchester United have not held talks for Ivan Toney. So that is an example where I think we've been used to try and generate interest in Toney to force other clubs, which is going to happen over the next couple of days, more so than ever, as clubs get desperate to sell players or wanting to increase their prices. And it's the whole kind of negotiation game. So it is something that we need to be aware of. And I'll call it out for you if I think that that's the case when it comes to these rumours. So that's, to me, seemed like that was the case where The Standard were, either being used to put out a story regarding United and Ivan Toney as a way to generate more interest or increase the value from Chelsea. That's what it looks like. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. There's only been one Ugarte update today, which is good, saying that medical test ongoing for Manuel Ugarte as new Manchester United player. Documents being exchanged today between PSG and United. Apparently, there's not going to be an official announcement today. It's possibly going to be tomorrow, but it is what it is. We know it's going to happen as long as he passes his medical. But that's the latest kind of news. Is had his medical, they're exchanging all the documents, so there should be either an official announcement. It's probably late. They've been doing a lot over the evenings, haven't they? Like 10, 11 o'clock at night and stuff. So it might even be tonight. But anyway, regardless, it's near enough over the line, that deal now. And then let's go for the Ben Chilwell nonsense. So Miguel Delaney, who is quite a good source, writes for the Independent, who are not a gossip outlet. They're a credible source, usually I would say reliable. Came out claiming that Manchester United and Chelsea have stepped up talks over a potential Ben Chilwell move, separate to negotiations over Sancho and Sterling. Both clubs have been in constant negotiations over the last 2 days as both attempt to resolve numerous remaining squad issues in the last 72 hours of the transfer market. Then Miguel Delaney also came out later claiming that that we've rejected the move for Chilwell, so he dismissed his own story. Manchester United have rejected the chance to move for Chilwell, which was music to my ears. I don't want, as much as I'm worried about the left back situation. So it says a lot when I'm massively worried about the full back situation or the left back situation because of injuries and stuff, and I still wouldn't take Ben Chilwell. That says it all really about how I personally feel about that transfer. But Fabrizio Romano, sweet music to my ears, saying that Manchester United have no interest in Ben Chilwell. So I think officially, unless Romano changes his mind, I think we can officially put the Ben Chilwell noise to bed and see it for exactly what it is, which is just negotiation tactics. Put his name out there to try and generate interest because Chelsea are desperate to sell players. So you might see a few more links over the next few days with a few other random Chelsea players. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, I'm sticking with Chelsea players. What's the latest on Sterling? Obviously, that was a lot of the noise yesterday regarding Sancho's swap and Sterling and bits like that. I brought you all the news in this morning's video. Miguel Delaney, again, from the Independent, was saying that Manchester United have not yet rejected Sterling out of hand, but those talks have not taken a next step in the manner that talks around Chilwell have, but that was before he dismissed his own Chilwell reports. I'm going to say take that with a pinch of salt. I was kind of thinking about this, though, before, because now it's looking like Sancho's going to go to Juventus. I did believe that anyway, and I did say that Juventus are still seen as the front runners for Sancho, but the noise and the credibility around Sterling can't be dismissed either. We've had Romano and all really, really credible sources kind of confirming the interest in Sterling. And I was thinking, actually, what if we still loan Sancho to Juventus, and then are we still looking at maybe bringing Sterling in on loan? Could that be possible? Because that's not been dismissed or anything. Yes, we might not do the swap with Chelsea for Sancho, but would we still potentially be looking at bringing in Sterling maybe on loan if Sancho goes to Juventus? That can't be ruled out. That's not that. And again, according to that report, the Sterling situation hasn't been dismissed. And then Jamie Jackson said Manchester United's logic on Sterling deal is obvious. He's far better than Sancho and Anthony. Hard to disagree with that, to be fair. Very hard to disagree with that. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then Lindelof, there was news from Dimarzio that I mentioned in this morning's video. Now Simon Jones from the Mail, credible source, said that Lazio are weighing up a potential move for Victor Lindelof. They will have to battle it out with Fiorentina, Eintracht Frankfurt, and a few Saudi Pro League clubs for Sancho's services this summer. So that's interesting. That's now a few more names in the hat regarding Victor Lindelof. Obviously, the issue might be that he is injured, but we'll have to see how that develops. But it's nice to see a few more names thrown in the hat with Lindelof. Not that we're going to get a fantastic amount for him. It's just better for his own career. He's going to be, sixth choice centre-half. Important for him to move on. And if we can get a couple of million quid, it's better than him walking out the door for free next summer. And effectively, we're going to be paying what I think is 120 grand a week for 12 months for a player that's never really going to feature that much. So it's good that we might, so there might be a late flurry for Victor Lindelof. There was news this morning saying that Ajax couldn't afford Eriksen, but now Simon Jones again from the Mail saying that Ajax have registered an interest in re-signing Christian Eriksen, but still no offers have been tabled as of yet. So that's one that could develop quite quickly over the next couple of days, obviously as the transfer window closes. And then the latest update regarding Sékou Koné. So Sékou Koné will sign with Manchester United tomorrow. That's come from a French journalist that works for L'Equipe. And Koné was already on the list before Ineos took over at Manchester United. He's already caught the eye of United scout at the Under-17 World Cup. It was a very thorough negotiation with the club's advisors and managers. So that was a really interesting update. That's came from, he's not the most credible source though. He's come out with a few nonsense stories this summer. But I thought that was a really interesting story because obviously Kone's coming in. He's going to be signed for £1 million. And the kind of belief at United has always been that, like, apparently that's a scouting signing, and the belief at United has always been that our scouts are really good. They do scout players. It's just no one at the club has ever had the balls to go out and spend a couple of £1 million on these little unknown gems, or taking the chance or anything. Look at, there's countless examples. Moises Caicedo most recently was available for £5 million. And it's not because the scouts didn't scout him or recommend him. It's just no one at the club were willing to take the chance and take a gamble on a player like that. And it's happened countless times. I remember, I'm sure it was when Louis van Gaal and Ryan Giggs and that were here, and they were scouting Kylian Mbappe when he was when he was in Monaco's reserves, I think it was, and they wanted to try and get him in, and the club were like, yeah, and someone at the club was like, yeah, no, we're not interested in looking at sort of players like that, which is really frustrating. So that's a big positive for me, a flipping in events, and the way Ineos are willing to listen to the scouts and go for these sort of players is a massive statement of intent. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way Ineos are listening to the professionals at the club and letting them do their job. And it's it's £1 million. That's nothing in context of United and their size and their wage bills and everything like that as well. So it's a gamble worth taking, in my opinion. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding the transfer budget. So Mike Keegan from the Daily Mail, who's been quite credible, saying that Manchester United's kitty is pretty much empty after Manuel Ugarte. There's a view the club's name is being used in an attempt to smoke out bidders for Ivan Toney, Ben Chilwell, and Sterling. So, so we do need to take some of these stories, I think, going forward with a pinch of salt. The Sterling one, like the Chilwell one, and the Ivan Toney one, I can get United's name being used. The Sterling one, though, I'm still a little bit nervous about, because there is so much credibility. Like, it's really credible sources saying that. The other ones are fairly credible, but not the most reliable all of the time. So that's definitely still one I would say keep an eye on Sterling. But let me know what you think about that in the comments, and let me know what you think about all the things discussed in today's video, because that is you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Smash a like on the video on your way out, and I will see you in the next one.